بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عن زيد بن ثابت رضي الله عنه عن أنس رضي الله تعالى عنه أن زيد بن ثابت حدثه أنهم تسحروا مع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ثم قاموا إلى الصلاة قلت كم بينهما؟ قال قدر 50 أو 60 يعني آية متفق عليه. This hadith is narrated by Anas radiallahu an, who says that Zayd ibn Thabit radiallahu an narrated this hadith to him or mentioned this to him. So this is a hadith from a Sahabi to another Sahabi. And what is that? أنهم تسحروا مع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, that they would do suhur with Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم, and then they would go for salah. ثم قاموا إلى الصلاة, then they would stand and go for salah. قلت كم بينهما, so I asked him how much time was in between that. قال قدر 50 أو 60 آية يعني آية. So he said about 50-60, and then he explains that what he meant by 50-60 is the time it takes to recite 50 or 60 ayahs. Muttafaqun alayh. This hadith is mentioned in Bukhari and Muslim. First, when we see a Sahabi narrating from another Sahabi, and Anas radiallahu an was young, and Zayd radiallahu an was not very old. He was also young. So it's not that it was it was ever a competition that, oh, you know, I'm a Sahabi, I don't need to learn from someone else, or you know, I have my own access to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No, they did not feel any way that, okay, me narrating from another Sahabi would lower my standard of hadith versus quoting directly from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Anas radiallahu anhu spent so much time. He was known as Khadim of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He spent a lot of time serving Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and taking care of his needs. So there is a lot of things that he saw that he narrates. But at the same time, when there is something that he might not have known, he will hear it from another Sahabi, and there's nothing to be shy of or to refrain from when it comes to knowledge. Now the next thing, this hadith which talks about we ate suhoor and we went for salah. And then Sahabi asked, you know, what was the time that in between? They said, you know, about 50-60 ayahs. Now if you look at the commentary of this hadith in the books of hadith, all the commentators, a lot of them, they would take this hadith from the fiqh aspect. That the fuqaha, they said, you know, how much time. So they would look at what things are wajib, what things are mustahab, what things we should do, what things we should avoid. Like in this hadith, it would say, you know, you should delay your suhoor till later, and then immediately after the adhan should be called, immediately after the salah should be prayed, etc. These things are from the fiqh aspect. But obviously, this is the jobs of the fuqaha, and alhamdulillah, they've done a great job in that. But the question comes, is when we read a hadith like this, the question is always, what do we learn from a hadith such as these? You know, because when you look at it many times, it would be, okay, we study this hadith and the fuqaha say this, these are the fiqh aspect of it, and that's it. But obviously in our practical life, there's so much we can learn from a simple hadith like this. First and foremost, how are they measuring time? They could have said a lot of other things. They could have said, as long as it takes to cook such a meal, or as long as it takes to milk such an animal, right? They could mean a lot of things. And they are examples of that in the hadith that says, for as long as it takes to slaughter an animal and serve the meat of it. That was a time. That's a sign in authentic books of hadith. So it's not that the Sahaba didn't use that. But in this, the Sahaba are specifically using ayah. When our life starts surrounding around Deeni elements, then our life will change. So over here, they're mentioning as long as it takes to recite 50 or 60 ayah, about 50-60 ayah. So if now all of us will have this question, how long does it take to recite 50-60 ayahs? And I will tell you that open the Qur'an and recite 50, 60 ayah, and you know exactly how much it will take. The element of deen, it's basically taking us back there. So as long as it takes us to read one salah, as long as it takes, Rasulullah gave the example that when we would be presented for questioning in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that some period of time there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Rasulullah said, that presentation would be like how you pray one salah. So now if we use, it takes the same amount to pray one salah. So now we can come out with an average. So this is Sahabah Ridwanullahi ta'ala majma'in. They're using this 50, 60 ayahs to determine time and estimate time. The next thing, what you have to understand in this hadith is, what we learn is that the Sahaba used to have suhoor together. And they used to have suhoor with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. See, these are two separate sunnahs of the Sahaba that they used to do with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam amongst themselves. Today, we'll say, not at suhoor time, come at iftar time. All the get-togethers are for iftar. They're never for suhoor because we don't want anybody in our house too early in the morning. But this shows that obviously the ijtiba, the companionship, the getting together was not only in the time of social gatherings, but also it was in the time of suhoor. And the second thing, which is another thing, is that but they would actually have suhoor with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What's really amazing is Sahaba Ridwanullahi ta'ala majma'in's life revolved around Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's life revolved around the masjid. So this way, the Sahaba were always connected to the masjid. And it comes about a lot of Sahaba that whenever they would prepare something, they said, okay, we're going to have this meal with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they would go and they would say, Ya Rasulullah, I brought something. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would be there. And then he would call the Sahaba either after Salah or another time, sometimes in their gathering. He'll say, okay, such and such brother, such and such person brought this. We just ought to eat. So this was something that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had, and the Sahaba had, that they used to eat suhoor together, and they used to make a point to go eat suhoor with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then obviously leading up to it, then obviously they would be with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In Salah, they would be with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. After Salah, as we know, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would sit in the masjid after Salatul Fajr for an extended period of time, up to Ishraq and beyond. So all of that you get with the barakah of just going and connecting yourselves with the awliya Allah, and then those awliya Allah are connecting you to the masajid, to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to understand these beautiful sunnahs of our Sahaba, our beautiful companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to understand and always be united and together, and keep our hearts together and united. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to exercise these beautiful sunnahs of our Sahaba, so that way we can be like them and be amongst the radiyallahu anhum wa radu an. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to succeed in this world and in the hereafter. Subhanallah bihamdihi, subhanakallah.